Good afternoon, good morning in some cases. This is the CFCS and STUG or STUG Windows Special Interest Group or WinSIG. The Central Florida Computer Society and the Sarasota Technology User Group have combined this hour and a half or 45 minutes to have a SIG for each of the groups, maintained by me, Huey Poplock. Welcome. I'm glad you're here. I'm somewhat cold infested. I opened the window and flew in influenza. And so Mike Ungerman and Drew may be jumping in occasionally if I have a coughing fit or I totally lose my voice. But thank you for joining. We do this once a month, and we cover articles that I have accumulated for the month. This month, and as usual, they are all posted on my website, huey.net, under the WinSIG. So let's take a look at that by going here and sharing. I may switch browsers, but for now, you should be seeing my Chrome browser. And I am on the WinSIG. When you get to the Huey.net, you'll have this page, but at the top, you'll want to go to WinSIG. And then here are the articles for this month. Last month's articles are here. And then below that is how you can watch the recording from last month. Of course, there's no recording yet for this month because we haven't done it yet. And it will be up sometime in the next couple days, couple weeks, whenever I can get to it. I'll have it posted on here as well. So I have several articles that I want to try to cover today. Some will be we'll spend a lot of time on. Some we won't spend much time. Some we'll kind of glance over. But they are things that I have collected over the last month. I put it in my Evernote, and then I go back to Evernote, and I pick out the articles that I think uh, justify being included in this uh, Windows Special Interest Group once a month. So the first article on here is Microsoft Copilot Tips, 9 ways to use Copilot right. So if I open that in a new tab and then move over to that tab, let's see if let's see, where is it here? More actions and the immersive reader. Let's try it. Last week or last month it was jumping, but this is the article, 9 ways to use Copilot right. Now, I'm presuming most of you have tried somewhere along the way, have tried Copilot. So whether you believe AI will be the salvation of humankind or the death of it, whether you think it's a little more than a plaything to while away your time or the surest way to get into the fast track at work, you're going to use it someday. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow, maybe next week or next month, but one day you'll turn to it and you'll most likely be surprised at how helpful it can be. It talks a little bit about business users and the Microsoft 365 Copilot, which is different. It looks the same, but you get to it differently. And I'll show you that in just a few minutes. In this article, though, we're going to give you tips on how to get the most out of everyday free version of Microsoft Copilot, available as an app for Windows, Mac OS, Android, or iOS, in the Edge browser, in the Microsoft Bing search engine, and on the web. So if you're using Chrome, like I am, if you want to get to it, you can do it that way. However, I have the Copilot built in that comes with Windows, and that's the one I usually use. I have it at one time it was part of the taskbar. Now I think you have to designate that you want a part of the taskbar. In this article, we're going to give you tips on how to get the most out of it. And but know the Copilot basics. Before you start using Copilot, you need to understand exactly what it is and what it isn't. It's called a generative AI or Gen AI for short. It's called that because it can create or generate different kinds of content, notably text, images, and videos. And this article will primarily cover text-based content, although I've got a tip for you about how this person uses it to create images as well. Let's see here. There's some things that it's got to say, but for the next generation, Copilot uses a large language model, or LLM, to do its work. It's based on ChatGPT, developed by a company called OpenAI, in which Microsoft is a major investor. It's trained on massive amounts of articles, books, web pages, and other publicly available text. Based on that training, it can respond to questions, summarize articles and documents, and write documents from scratch, and much more. Like GPT, Copilot works as a chatbot. You ask it a question or feed it a prompt, and it generates a response. And you can ask a series of follow-up queries in an ongoing conversation or start over with a new query. Using Copilot, it can initially be somewhat eerie because its responses are often human-like. But don't be fooled, it has no human intelligence. So when asking it for information, give it precise, detailed information about what you want. Microsoft also recommends that you avoid using relative terms like yesterday, tomorrow, and pronouns like it and they. Instead, use specifics such as an exact date or a person's name. Multiple ways to access Copilot. The free version of Microsoft Pilot is Copilot is available in several ways, including as a desktop app, a mobile app, in the Edge browser, and as a web tool in Bing or on its own. Let me grab a sip of water here. That might be better if it was a sip of vodka. The Copilot app or Windows, Mac OS, Android, or iOS. If you use Windows 10 or 11, Copilot for Windows is always just a click away. There's an icon of it right in the middle of the taskbar, or if you don't see the icon, updating to the latest version of Windows 10 or 11. However, if it doesn't, you can go in and go ahead and add it to your taskbar. If you're using Windows in a business or educational setting, your organization may not have enabled Copilot. So if you click the Copilot icon and Copilot appears as an app that can be moved, resized, closed like any other app, and it's going to look like this. So Microsoft has just announced that a new version of Windows app is beginning to roll out to users in its Windows Insider and early testing program. Amongst other enhancements, the new version will include a side panel that provides a quick access to previous conversations. And if you remember, I think it was last month, someone said the reason they didn't use it is because they couldn't see the history. And I did a video on that this past week or so. And so here is my Copilot. Whoops, I hit the wrong button here. Hang on one second. Bring it forward again. Let me cover up the other so it doesn't get too confusing. And to get to the history in Copilot, it doesn't show on the sides like it does with some of the other uh, generative AIs. Just click on the Copilot icon. And when you do, you'll get a timer icon. When you click that, it brings up your conversations. And if you scroll down, you'll see all the conversations that you have had with Copilot. You can delete any one of them, or you can click on this introduction to Poe. Let's see, reverse phone lookup, T-Mobile, email list creation. Let's click that, and you can share the entire conversation with somebody or cancel. Or if I just click on it, it will open up and give me that page with all of the information and so on that I had in that conversation. So that's something with Copilot, you can find the history very easily. Microsoft just announced a new version of the Windows app, and it's in the Windows Insider program. So if you're a Windows Insider, you've got access to it. However, you may not have access to it yet. There's also something called, and I'm not sure if that's the same one, but there's something that's called uh, Microsoft 365 Copilot, and you get that from the Microsoft Store. And when you install it, you get this. It's slightly different. And every time I've opened it, it said almost there and it goes through something. So I'm not sure what it's doing. I've not really used this much. I use the one that's built in, but it comes up and now you can start any of your programs, part of the Microsoft Office through it. And so I'm not quite sure how all this works, but if you go into a document, and it opens it up on the other screen. So I'll slide it over and you have select the icon or press Alt plus I to draft with Copilot. So, but I see that anytime I open up Word, so I'm not sure whether you need to open up that Copilot first or not. But for any of the Office products, you've got Copilot now that's part of it, and you're doing it through the Microsoft 365 Copilot. Okay, let's see where we are here. And did I close the wrong things? No. Let me move something out of the way here that you don't see. And nope, that's not what I want. I can close that up. And close that, and then we'll reopen up Chrome. By the way, Chrome opened up a whole bunch of things here, but I'm going to do a Control Shift D, and it brings me right back to where I was before. Posted, let's see here. Oh, brought me back too far. Okay, but so we'll go do this and we'll go to Huey.net, which is here. And again, Tech for Seniors. Whoops, not WinSIG. Okay, so we're here and we were in immersive reader here. And where is immersive reader? Over here now. There we go. The reading mode. Okay, I was in Edge before, that's why it was different. Okay. So we're down here, and I guess we're pretty much at the end of that article. If you use Windows 10 or 11, Copilot is always a click away, and so on. So I guess I'm pretty much finished with that one. I am going to go ahead and close this. I'm going to go back to Edge, but before I do that, let's see if there's any conversation. Anybody using Copilot in different ways? How do you like it? How do you don't like it? Anything like that? Any comments?
I found Copilot to be my primary AI of access. I was using Gemini, a little bit of Chat GPT, but lately Copilot, especially technical things or even legal things like looking up trusts and estates and getting the different kinds of information on that. They always say if it's a technical thing or a medical thing or a legal thing, consult a professional, but then they'll give you the answer that you think you're looking for.
Well, a lot of times the questions I'm looking to answers on are things that I want to do in Windows or in a Microsoft product, and I feel more comfortable getting the answer from Copilot because it's Microsoft. And so a lot of times I'll ask it, how do I do something in Windows, or I should say in Word, how do I get this, or how do I do it in Excel and so on? Explain what I'm trying to do, and it'll give me usually an answer that will work. And I found that they not only do they use Chat GPT in the background, but they also go to the web. So you do get more up-to-date information. using
all
Copilot
of
than
the
some.
AI databases now are using up-to-date information. For a while,
No,
ChatGPT was very old, but
but I occasionally ask something and it'll say that's beyond what the date that I Perplexity, Claude, uh, several of those. A lot of times have told me no, they can't
Mm,
give me the answer I want.
mm.
Okay, any other
Uh,
comments?
yes,
Anybody else?
thank you for the tip on the Copilot history. I didn't know about that button.
Yeah, I actually did a video and played it on Tech for Senior last Monday, but it is also uh, on my YouTube channel. But yes, I knew I had seen it last month. If you remember, I said I'd seen it, but I couldn't remember how to get to it. So I did a little research and made a video on it. Okay, any other comments? If you're not using it, use it. Instead of if you're going to ask any of us a question, use Copilot to ask that same question and see what you get. You may not get anything you want, but a lot of times you don't even have to ask us. We're going to be useless. I don't want that. So maybe I'll hide Copilot on you. But no, seriously though, it's amazing some of the things you can ask for and get information on. Just to go back to yeah, somebody had about to ask me something. Nope. Okay. Uh, let me go ahead and share again. And share, share, share. Okay. There we go. And let's see. Bring up Copilot again and go to my history. Uh, let's see. I went to a website that there was an advertising in Facebook, and they didn't have any pricing. In order to learn anything about them, I had to actually sign up for the service. I didn't know whether I wanted to do that, so I said, okay. I just put the name of the service or the AI tool and said, give me the pricing on it. Yeah, it's $1,700 per annual. And if you're just a personal account, it's only $1,450 a year. So no, thank you. So I didn't have to even sign up for it to find out that. So that can help you in some ways. Let's see what other things I looked up. Image request for a Microsoft Copilot. If you ever check my the online WinSIG list, I always put some kind of an image up there. Well, I wanted something that would represent Copilot, so that's what I did. I said, and it said they had a glitch, and to use the Bing image creator, and I have image creator on my toolbar, not my toolbar, but uh, my bookmark bar, and I clicked on it and continue. We'll just do that. And so let's see if it shows what I've done in the past. I don't think it does. It's what my creations. So I've been experimenting with some pictures, but this was what I got as a result of give me something that represents Microsoft Copilot. And I think the one I used was this one or this one. And that's the one that's up there now. And I can check that by just doing this and UE.net and WinSIG, and there it is. So you don't have to go searching all over the world for some kind of a picture that fits. You have it create your own. So these are some of the things that I have used with Copilot. And let's go back to Copilot and then look at some of the other things that I have used it for. And I'm doing this because some of you say, gee, I don't know how to get started with. I don't know what I can do with. Okay, so I did that. Let's see. Blocking text messages on a Samsung. I wanted some ways to do that. Uh, Creating a spreadsheet for AI tools. Well, this is something that I had a whole bunch of a list of tools that I have in my bookmarks. And I said, it looks like we covered, let's see, come back here. and you can see what it did for an answer. But let's go all the way to the top, and we'll come here and just go up to slide bar. And I said, uh, I want a spreadsheet using the following information. Have a column for a name of the item, the URL, a sentence on what it does and uses, and whether it's free, freemium, or cost. Well, it didn't do well on the free and freemium and cost, but for the most part, what I did is I went into my, let's see if I can do this from here. I came here to bookmarks and lists. Whoops. Bookmarks and lists. And then I came to manage bookmarks, bookmark manager. And then I went to my AI folder, which is in my bookmarks. When I clicked on it, I had all of these. I just went to the started at the top, went down to the bottom, and there's over 200 of them. When I got down to the bottom, I just clicked shift, and that it included everything. I did a copy, and then that's what I used, and I dropped it into a Word notepad so it would make just a general list of it. And so then when I came back over here, I made a list of them here and said include all of these. So what it did was started doing this. So it gave me the name of the item, it gave me a link to it, and then what it does, and then its uses. I said, well, gee, I wanted pricing on there. So I said, I hope this is helpful. That's what it said. And let's see, we've got farther down. Says I can certainly help create spreadsheet for the tools. Oh, when I did it, somehow it didn't really come out as a spreadsheet. When I copy and pasted it, each one was one full line, and so I wanted it. So when I did this and then did a copy paste, it seemed to do a better job. And then here's the rest of the list. It didn't do all of them. So I had to do that a few times to get the rest of them. There are 200 of them. It didn't do all 200 at once. And let's see, when I get down to the bottom, it says you have a total of 200. I asked how many links I had. You have a total of 202 links on the list. That's quite an extensive collection if you need any more help. So that's one of the uses that you can do with it. Let me stop the share. Comments, questions? So it eased up. I've been wanting to put a list together of all the things that I've got bookmarked for AI, and then now I can start sorting them in different groupings. I can maybe make a column of which ones I use, which ones I don't use, which ones I'd like to look at more, and then sort by that column. So I can do a lot with that information, and uh, and hopefully get a list of the ones that I've been using, and and, uh, and I don't have to go searching. Sometimes I've done something that I just can't figure out how I did it. Which tool did I use to get the result that I got? And so now maybe I can make it some way that I'll know which ones I use and then try to find out how to do it. I'm also trying to do when I save an answer, a lot of times I try to remember to include the tool in the title of that item. So if it's a Leonardo image, I will put what it represents and then put Leonardo in the title of it, which helps me then remember where I got it from. Comments, questions?
I have a
I
question.
hope you're, go ahead, somebody.
What are some of the challenges that you find compared to, I don't know, like maybe using Google or something where it might be, I don't know, maybe more straightforward?
The problem with when you say Google, are you talking about the Google's
The search,
generative AI or the
just regular
Gemini?
Google. You're just looking for information.
Well, Google gives you a list of places to go looking for it. So
Right,
you got to do a lot more work to uncover what you want.
right.
And a lot of it's advertising. So you may not even be anywhere near what you want. So Google, because they're starting to lose a lot of advertising revenue,
Hmm.
because that's where they make their money, and people
Right,
are going to things like Copilot and other generative AI tools. They're not going to Google as much. So Google is starting to incorporate more and more AI into their
right.
Google search. And I think you're going to see more and more of that. But if you're just looking for places to go look for the information. Google is great for it. But one thing that I like about a lot of these AI, generative AI products is most of them will give you, you'll see a little number at the end of each of the items or a couple of numbers. And at the bottom is a list of where they got that information from. And you want to check those to make sure that that's
Right.
what it said and that if that article is coming from someplace that would be uh, good uh, to use. Because the AI makes up stuff if it doesn't know sometimes, and you want to
Right.
make sure what you're finding out is accurate. But I use them for different purposes, and I use the different
But
generative AIs uh, depending upon what I'm looking for and how I'm looking. And I'm in the process of trying to put together uh, a list and a comparison of generative AI programs and what they're good at and what they aren't good at and so on. And every time I go back to it, I've got to update too much stuff before I can get it written. Mike, comment.
So you and I do, and Drew and others that are on here, do a lot of presentations. Not everybody gets involved with that, but those that do make presentations, either for computer groups or educational groups or whatever you might make presentations for, I used to research with search engines, and I'd look up what I wanted, and I'd try to get the information, and then I'd open up PowerPoint or Impress, and I'd get a format for my slides, and then I'd start pasting stuff in and trying to come up with concepts. And I find I'd have to reorganize, and sometimes I'd have to go back and start over because I just messed the whole thing up. So those that stick around today to see the presentation of the Central Florida Computer Society, that presentation started with a Copilot inquiry. I asked them the subject that I was going to talk about. I asked them to give me some bullets that I might want to discuss with a group of computer club members, and to simplify it as much as possible, yet give me references for each item that they did. Gave me a nice list. I added some things myself, took some things away, and then I said, okay, order this in the order that a PowerPoint slide presentation would be, and give me the individual slides, give me the title, give me the subchapters, and so on. And as I'm talking to you right now, that's how I talk to the AI. I didn't have to format it any particular way. And if they didn't do it the way I wanted to, I said, oh, take number 5 and make it number 2. Redo it. And it did it. It gave me the whole outline. I'd say where I normally would research something like that might take me several hours. I'd say it was 20 to 30 minutes before I had the layout of the presentation I wanted to do. Then, knowing that a lot of you guys use AI just to create your slides, I said, hey, show me some AIs that will actually create my PowerPoint presentation for me. And it did. And a couple I rejected out of hand, and one was pretty good. So those that stick around, you'll see what it gave me in terms of a layout and a theme. And then I just dropped in the output from Copilot and said, make me a slide presentation using this as the outline. It gave me the outline, and I said, show me the presentation. It showed me the presentation. I went in and did some editing, did some changes, and it was a real time saver. So if anybody
And
has a job doing things like that with AI is very good.
and don't forget, this is the Windows 6, so I don't want to spend the whole meeting on
Yeah.
AI, but Copilot's part of Windows, so that's why I did want to cover that today. So let's go ahead and share
Lower
and
right.
come back to the WinSIG and the latest 365 Microsoft updates. Again, let's go ahead and do the from smarter calibration tools in Microsoft Teams. So a lot of this has to do with Teams. I'm going to skip down to where the TL semicolon DR means too long, didn't read. So whenever you see that, Whenever you see that TLDR, that means too long didn't read. So it's going to be some kind of a summary of something. So Microsoft Teams introduced features like microphone visual indicators and so on. Outlook adds newsletter creation with performance tracking and delivery read receipts for mobile users to improve communication. OneDrive enhances security with password protected PDFs, while Intune simplifies device management with hot patching and out of box updates for Windows 11. Uh, Microsoft Entra streamlines authentication with QR code sign-ins for shared devices and mandatory MFA. Uh, for admin portals, Entra, I am not familiar with. I would imagine that's something for enterprise users. And if I wanted to find out, I would go down to Copilot and say, what is Microsoft Entra? And then it will give me an answer. Let's do that just to see what it would do. I know you all ask in your own mind, what's Entra when I just mentioned it? It's a family of identity and network access products designed to help organizations implement a zero trust security strategy. Obviously, nothing that we probably are involved in. Then you'll notice here there's a one and a two. And if we, and here are the articles that it quoted that information or got that information from. So that's how I use Copilot is, well, I'm reading something. If there's something in there, I don't understand what it is. The other was, what is MFA? Multi-factor authentication. It's like 2FA, two-factor authentication. This is multi-factor, more than one, could be two, could be more, and so on. So it explains what it is. So whenever you're reading anything, have Copilot to the side and have it and ask a question. When you see something you would normally just either bypass and say, "Well, I'll find out about that later." This way, you know that, gosh, that's something I don't even need to read anything more about because I'm not interested. Copilot expands all capabilities with automated meeting notes, inbox prioritization, and custom chatbot creations, including SharePoint for document repositories. So these are all the new things, and if there's something there you want to learn more about, you just scroll down and read it. So let's come back here to WinSIG. Microsoft Copilot offers voice in an O1 powered Think Deeper for free. Again, this is all AI, so I'm not going to keep going back to it. And Microsoft is updating Copilot in Windows 11. Again, this I think is a short article from Paul Thurrott. And if you've lost count of how many times Microsoft has updated Copilot app in 11, you're not alone. Indeed, although this app has only been available since September 2023, about 18 months ago, it feels like a lifetime. So, but he tells exactly what's been updated in it. And again, there may be things that don't have anything to do with something you would ever use it for, but you might want to read through that article. Okay, and then Microsoft's new Copilot app for Windows has improved UI. And then creating Microsoft's Word table of content. Do you use Word? If you do, and you want to know how to do the table of contents, uh, this is about that. And again, there's a TLDR. So it gives you kind of a gist of what's in the article. And if it's something you want to use, go ahead and read it and learn how to use it. How to insert automatic table of contents. If you got a long article and you want a table of contents for it, you can do it very easily in Word. And then how Word makes table of contents automatically. And this is a video. And then let's see further guides. And here's some other guides about Word, 5 essential OneNote plugins, how to create Excel spreadsheets that automatically update, how to combine and merge Microsoft Word documents, how to use ChatGPT to fully automate book writing, 10 Microsoft Word 2024 tricks you wish you knew sooner, and so on. So as you read these articles, look to see what other articles they point to, because you may find things there that might give you information or shortcuts to doing things that you either do or want to do. And is it okay to hibernate your Windows PCs? I get asked this a lot. I don't do it. So I can't say, is it okay? So here's an article that will. So let's take a look. Is it okay to hibernate your Windows PCs? Are you tired of putting your PC to sleep only to find you've run out of battery when you come back? Hibernating your Windows PC can be a great alternative in these situations, despite what you've heard about it. So what does hibernate do for your system? Well, just like shutdown, hibernation on Windows is a power state. However, instead of shutting down your system entirely, this option saves the current state of your system to your storage drive, your hard drive, your SSD drive, and resumes from there the next time you boot your PC. Uh, this results in as much as a faster booting time, as instead of launching Windows from starting up all system processes and starting programs, your system just picks up from where you left off. In other words, all the information that it has in its memory, you save and then start from there. Do keep in mind that this is different from putting your PC to sleep. When your PC is sleeping, it's in a low power state that still consumes battery. So if you got a laptop, this is important. With hibernation, the PC shuts down after saving its current state. So hibernating your PC is quite often similar to using the fast startup feature that Windows has had since Windows 8. Fast startup saves the system kernel and drivers to the Windows hibernation file uh, called hyperfile.sys, allowing for quicker boot times. Hibernate, on the other hand, saves the entire system state, so it's like you never shut your PC down. So when can you use it? If you've enabled fast startup on your Windows 10 or 11 PC, you're already using Hibernate. That said, if you're manually hibernating your PC, the best time is when you know you won't be using it for a while and don't want your battery to run out. For example, I'm writing this from an airport terminal waiting for my flight. Once boarding starts, I hibernate my laptop and hop on the flight. Once I reach my destination, I can reopen my laptop and it'll start as if I were to put my laptop to sleep. Instead, I'd be all out of battery before I even land. While we've compared sleep, hibernate, and shutdown on the Windows before, in case you need to help picking up the best option for you. And so if you're commuting from work, running between classes, or just taking a break from your computer, feel free to hibernate your PC. When you get back to it, you'll be able to resume the task at hand in seconds. But if you're done for the day, always a good idea to shut down your PC daily. Your machines deserve just as much rest as you do. Is it okay to hibernate frequently? There's a lot of noise on the internet about hibernation supposedly being harmful to your system. These rumors stem from the fact that if you hibernate your PC back to back and junk temporarily, files will start cramming up your PC's memory and using your SSD card read-write cycles, reducing its life. In reality, if you feel you need to troubleshoot your PC's boot speed, a restart will usually clear it up. As for the effect on your SSD's longevity, that's a negligible amount unless you're hibernating your PC dozens of times a day, in which case I'd recommend putting your Windows to sleep. Do keep in mind that as you continue hibernating your PC day by day, the hyperfill.sys file that saves hibernation states will eventually grow in size, meaning you'll be reading and writing an increasingly large file from your SSD every time you boot your system. This can cause some problems, and eventually some programs will start crashing when you resume a system from a hibernation state. However, as mentioned before, a restart now and then will fix most, if not all, such issues. Hibernation is a power option on Windows PCs that isn't talked about much. However, it can be quite useful in certain situations. So as long as you're periodically shutting down or restarting your PC. Comments, questions?
Yes, I have one. I rely heavily on hibernation. I have it enabled you have to manually enable it. Windows doesn't ship from the factory anymore with hibernation enabled by default, so that when you go into the start menu to do a shutdown or sleep, hibernate's not on the menu at first. You have to go in and say you want to turn it on. But once you do, I do that every night. I run primarily on a laptop, so I'll unplug the laptop and hibernate it for the night, and then when I get up in the morning, I unhibernate it, and I probably reboot the computer at least once a week.
Okay, any other comments, questions? I hope that helped. A lot of people ask me about hibernating and sleeping, and they get confused on which one to use. I don't use either. I generally leave my computer on at night, and every couple of days I reboot it, and sometimes it reboots itself. But I don't use the sleep or the hibernate, only because I just never did.
Yeah. For those of you who have a laptop, it's probably more useful because uh, you can run the laptop on battery, try not to keep the plug in all the time. And hibernating will give you the ability to stop draining the battery and resume quickly from where you left off.
Drew, can you tell us how to enable hibernate?
Um, sure. I believe if you go into power, let me go into power settings and
Why don't I do it on my screen and I'll follow your
yeah,
directions?
yeah.
Here,
Whoops.
and
Uh, uh,
I want to go to settings.
hang on one second here. Oh, enable. Just give me 1 second. All right, so open what you want to do is go to the control panel and go to hardware and sound and then power options and then click on
Okay.
choose what the power buttons do.
Okay, hang on a second. I want to see if it's in settings.
It might be in settings now.
Power action settings, power sleep and battery settings. Let me click
You,
that.
you can
Then
do it
it's
from the command prompt as well. If you
yeah,
type
but
in,
yeah, but I'm trying to do it. I'm trying to do it from settings here. So
all right,
system and power.
Lid power
Okay.
button settings controls.
Screen, sleep, and hibernate timeouts. Correct? Turn off my screen after. Never. That's turning off your screen. Make my device sleep after. No, but that wouldn't be it either. Energy
Did
saver,
anybody think
power.
to ask ChatGPT?
No, it's
Yeah,
more fun
it's
this way. Yeah.
that's what I did by going into there
Press the
and
press the power
that's
button to
where it
make my
said control
PC.
panel.
Okay, let's see if it's here. Hibernate. See, it is here under power and sleep buttons control. Press the power button to will make my PC. By default, I've got shutdown. You can make it hibernate, sleep, or do nothing.
But you don't, that's changing what the button's going to do permanently. There's an option to
And,
add it to the menu. so that you can choose to do it without changing what the button does. And I believe it's in settings. I mean, in the control panel, I'm sorry.
Okay, let's do control panel, just to show that it's still here. Oops.
And look for hardware and sound, and then power options. You're not in control panel.
I was, it took me out.
Bob, don't
Control
talk,
pa-
I'm on the meeting.
Hardware and sound, right?
And then you want to
Power options.
Power options.
Yeah, it used to be another setting where when you close the lid, you could put it
And
into
then
hibernation.
choose what the power buttons do on the left there. And then you'll see that hibernate is grayed out. So what you need to do is change settings that are currently unavailable. Go up a little bit. Now you can enable hibernate.
Yep.
Now it'll be on your menu as an option.
And make sure you save the settings.
Yeah. So that thing is still in the control panel. It's not available in settings.
Okay.
So now if you were to, fake shut down your PC, hibernate should be on as an option.
Yep, now it's there.
So that's how I do it.
Okay, good. Any other comments, questions? All right, how are we for time? We're doing good. Let's go back to here. Let me close up a few of these so we don't get too far screwed up here. Back to WinSIG. Hibernate. Microsoft's finally shutting down Skype. I
Share your
don't think we need to
screen,
spend
Gary.
much time on it. Skype is just going away in a couple of months.
Share your screen, you.
Oh, I can see it. Okay, where are we? Zoom. Share screen. There we go. That'll be better, won't it? Microsoft's finally shutting down Skype in May. I haven't used Skype in probably a couple of years. It's always been a part of Windows, but using Zoom and a few other things, I just haven't used Skype in a long time. And neither have a lot of other people. Well, Microsoft's just shutting it down. Okay, 8 task manager tips every Windows user should know. So let's take a look at those and go ahead and use the Task Manager is a powerful tool in Windows, yet many users use it for basic tasks like closing unresponsive apps or checking resource usage. If you're new to Windows or primarily use Task Manager for simple tasks, here are some hidden features. Well, before we do that, how do you get to Task Manager? There's many, many ways. But one of the easiest ways is just go to your taskbar and right mouse click and click Task Manager. I'm going to open it up so you can see what it looks like. And this is what it looks like. It's got several tabs now, and you can go to any one of them. They show different things. But let's see what the article has to say. At least now we know how to get to it. Let me go ahead and just close it. Task Manager is a powerful tool in Windows. As I said, many don't use it. Now, freeze the Task Manager. Whoops, yes, this is a problem I was having last month. The Task Manager updates in real time and continuously rearranges processes based on factors like resource consumption. This dynamic nature can make difficult to monitor a specific task's resources or usage, or capture a clear snapshot of the desired data. I also find it challenging to focus on a particular section for detailed analysis, and see how it jumps on me here. So that's why I went last time to Edge and use the WinSIG here. Let's just go ahead and do Huey.net and WinSIG. And we're here at this. Full screen it. And now if I full screen it, then I can't see the title part. So let's just go ahead and do it this
Didn't you
way.
use F9 last time?
I may have, but what I want to do is, let's see, we want to here, and then immersive reader. There we go. Okay, and it shows some pictures. And freeze the task manager. Task manager updates in real time and continuously rearranges based on factors. If you face these issues, you'll be glad to know that Task Manager allows you to freeze updates temporarily. By doing this, you can pause the live changes and analyze the information more easily. To freeze Task Manager, press the Control key. So let's go ahead and bring up Task Manager. And if I just hold the Control key down, it stops it. Okay, I didn't know that. If I let up on the control panel, it resumes. And it's continually updating. Okay, let's stop or minimize that. Enable efficiency mode. Task Manager has an efficiency mode designed to reduce the resource and power usage of lower priority processes that may slow down your computer. By optimizing these processes, critical tasks and to gain access to more resources, helping your PC run efficiently. However, to avoid potential stability usages, you can't use this feature for critical system processes. To enable the efficiency mode for your specific process, right-click on it and select efficiency mode. If prompted, confirm your choice by clicking turn it on. And then once activated, the green leaf icon will appear next to the process. Okay, by default, the task manager opens the processes tab, which allows you to check resource consumption. However, if you often use a different tab, such as a performance or app history, you can set it as the default. This allows you to access information you use most frequently without needing to switch tabs and saving you time and effort. To change the default tab in Task Manager, right-click the Start button and select Task Manager. And then once it's open, select the Settings button in the bottom left corner, and then under Default Start Page. So we'll do that by going to Task Manager, coming down here to Settings, and then Default Start Page is here, and you can change it to the app history, startup apps, users, and so on. So you can change it to whatever startup you want, and then when you start the program, it will go to that screen. Track resources usage with ease. Task Manager allows you to monitor resource usage by processes in real time. However, identifying which process is consuming the most CPU, RAM, disk, and network resources can be challenging, as the list constantly updates. While freezing Task Manager can help, scrolling through the list to pinpoint resource-heavy processes is still time-consuming. Fortunately, you can sort the processes by ascending and descending order. So just like you can in Excel and anything else, the file manager and so on, columns can be sorted by whichever one you want. So if we open up, have open here, this is settings. Let's go back to processes. If we want to see what's CPU heavy is you just click this and it will now show the heaviest use in order. And as it changes, it will change which ones move up or down. Same thing with memory. Which one's using the most memory? Well, I'm using crisp, so that's using the most memory. Not a lot, but it's using the most. And then how much is using disk access or network? And it will sort with the one at the top being the most. And if you want it, just click it again, and it starts the one at the bottom and then goes as you go all the way to the bottom. Well, it's a lot of things going on in my system. It reverses it. And you can do that with any of these. Let's say the performance. I don't use this much, so this one isn't in the same kind of format. But in your app history, you want to know which ones are using CPU time or network or notifications. Let's use CPU time. And the network and so on. Startup apps. What publisher, what status, which are all the enabled ones are together here and which aren't. By startup impact, is it a high impact, medium, low, or not measured? Or if you want to have all the publishers together, these it doesn't have the names, it doesn't know who they are. But here all the Google ones are together, Intel's together, all the Microsoft ones are together, and so on. Customize columns in your views. So you can add some columns if you want, and then start a new task instantly and access command prompt quickly. So the command prompt is a powerful tool for executing commands. If it's something you want to use, there are numerous ways to do that. And one of them is just type CMD. And then convert the classic task manager view. Microsoft has completely redesigned the task manager in Windows 11, introducing a modern look and features like efficiency mode, dark mode, transparency effects, and so on. If you want to go back to the classic task manager, uh, you would do it from the command line task manager -D. And so I'm not sure how many of you use task manager or how often you use it. Any comments or anyone not know what task manager is and now have at least an idea what it is?
I just want to say that if you are unfamiliar with it, it's worthwhile to take a peek at it and see what it can do so that if you should run into a situation that you need it, you know what it does.
Good point. Mike, anything you want to add?
The one thing as I recall, I don't remember if it's stated, if it's now available in Windows 10 or not, but when we went to 11, the task manager can now go through all of your startup apps. So if your computer is running slow and you bring up that page that shows your startup apps and you can see all the applications that are running at startup. And if you're trying to troubleshoot a slow computer, you can turn a couple of them off or maybe turn them all off except one, and then just keep adding the ones in and see if you notice any differences. You may find something that's really bogging it down or something that got installed that you didn't know got installed.
Yeah, that was
Yes,
one thing I didn't touch upon when I was. Go ahead, Drew, while I'm bringing it up.
yeah, that's a valuable point. The startup control. You install a lot of software programs, and you may not know that some of them are launching every time you start Windows, even though you don't see it, because they're starting in the background and maybe just loading a hidden system tray icon. So if you go here where Huey is, you can see which ones are enabled and which ones are disabled, and you can get rid of things that are really unnecessary to you.
Click on the enabled or the status column once. Now you'll get all the enabled together and all the disabled together.
Right, and I disabled some that I really didn't want to start and why Microsoft Defender is on disabled, I don't know. I'll have to check that. And Copilot's disabled. I have to click on it to start it. It's not running it in the background. But there are other ones that are. But let's say I didn't want something to run in the background. I would, there's nothing there that I really jumps out at me that I wouldn't want. But let's say the Elements auto creations. That's Adobe Elements. And so I don't want it enabled. I just
Right click on it.
right click on
Oh,
it and disable it.
oh, and another thing that's important also is the column of startup impact. You can take things that you do want to run, but you don't necessarily maybe want them to be the highest priority. You can say, I would like to make this a lower priority item, and that will make it start up after some of the other higher priority items.
Like for instance, this has to do, I think, with my video card. So I would want to leave that. Even though I don't, if you don't know what it is, don't disable it. I guess is my advice. If you don't know
Right.
what it is, don't disable it. If you know what it is and don't want it to start up at boot up, then you would disable it.
And
It
use
doesn't,
use
Here's one
Copilot.
example. One example is the program everything that you have a little bit higher
yep.
up. That's not, it's listed as high priority. It really doesn't need to be high priority. It could be medium priority. And it's not gonna, I don't know if, oh, maybe you can't change it. I thought you could change it to a medium priority.
I don't think so. I think
Huh.
it determines what it is.
I thought that was adjustable. I apologize.
And you can go to Copilot and say, okay, what does this do? And
Yeah.
Copilot will tell you what it does.
If you run Process Explorer, you can change the priority.
Yeah.
Priority is like Task Manager, only the next level above. It gives you a bit more control over the things.
But this tells you everything that's loading at startup. If your startup is real slow, you want to take a look at it and see what programs, when it was installed, said you're going to start me and I'm going to run in the background so you can access me a little bit quicker. But if it's not something that you run all the time, you don't need to have it as a startup and just disable it. It'll help your speed up your startup. So it's a good thing to check. And again, like we've said, if you don't know what it is, don't disable it because it could
Right.
disable your system.
Yeah.
So
Don't fix it if you don't know what it is.
Jolyn
Oh,
has a
definitely.
question.
Question. Well, two things. I've used Task Manager for years, doing exactly what you're talking about, helping members get a computer going better. And the other thing is, I've been Task Manager. My startup impact is not measured, and that's just curious. And then under the ones that are disabled, none.
Yeah. Well,
So,
it would be because there is no impact. Yeah.
yeah, so there's no, of course, because they're turned off. But why startup impact is not measured is interesting.
Why
I
do you
don't know.
everything running in the background? You don't need it on all the time, do you?
Some of
Yes.
them I do.
Well, and as soon as
You-
it starts up, it's already sorted everything, so it's ready to go. And and I want it there immediately. So yes, I always have it run in the background.
Yeah.
Any other questions, comments? All
One of
right,
the
we'll
things that I've discovered is sometimes when I'm running a Microsoft update or Windows update, it says it is downloading something and nothing seems to be happening. And so I go into Task Manager and Performance and look at the disk to see if it's really downloading something to the disk.
Mm.
Yeah, I really miss having that little red light on the front of the computer that tells me when the drive is being accessed.
If you want to have the little red light on your computer
There,
that shows you disk access, there's a little program called Tray Status.
Yep, that's the one.
yep. But again, it's something else got to run in the background, and I just as little as I need is what I want. But yeah, that's it is a good program, and I ran it at one time on one of the systems I had. Okay, let's there are no other questions. Let's go back again to share and back here and close this and back here. How to create a recovery USB drive to fix your computer. Most of us don't do this. And I've got 4 or 5 of them around here, and I haven't labeled them properly. I don't know which one's the best one to use, but this emergency first aid kit will be ready to rescue your Mac or Windows machine when disaster strikes. And let's go ahead and do the immersive reader. What am I? Am I in the right thing here?
Press F9.
Yep. Yeah. Uh,
Function 9, F9. There
there
we
you
go.
go.
This emergency first kit aid will uh, be ready to rescue your Mac or Windows when disaster strikes. And that's all I show on here. So I guess it doesn't work for this article. So we'll come back here. Okay, you know you've got a serious problem when your computer refuses to get through even the first phase of the startup properly. If you can't get into Windows or a Mac OS at all, then your troubleshooting is become a lot more limited. And so you've read your last, let's see. Oh, I can't get into it. That's why I've looked at it so many times. Apparently, it's not letting me in, and it's in wired.com. And I believe it or not, I have a subscription. I could probably sign in, but I don't remember my password. So let's see if it'll let me do it.
You want me to share my screen? I've got it.
Yeah, let me go ahead and stop sharing. And go ahead. Okay, if you can't get into Windows or Mac at all, troubleshooting options become a lot more limited. However, you won't find yourself in such a scenario very often or at all. But if you do have problems booting up your computer as normal, a recovery USB drive can save your system and restore access to your files. Uh, a recovery USB and a separate portable flash drive that your computer can use instead of your main hard drive to start up from. Whatever issues you're having, your system can be bypassed and you can access a variety of troubleshooting tools. The rescue drives are free to create and can be made in advance on your own computer or using someone else's computer if yours is having issues. The steps are relatively simple. You create a recovery USB drive. Mike, can you move it over a little bit? My camera is right on top of the letters here. Just move
Move
it
it
to the
where?
left. Come to the right. Okay, they're perfect right there. When it comes to Windows, you can get started by searching for a recovery drive application in the search box on the taskbar. Click the program link when it appears to launch the setup tool, and then check backup system files to the recovery drive box before clicking next to get the most comprehensive backup. You'll be prompted to plug in a USB drive, which must be at least 32 gigabytes in capacity. Note that configuring it as a recovery USB drive will delete all of the data that's on it. So make sure it doesn't contain anything important. Then make sure the drive is selected. Then turn on next and create to confirm. the Windows Recovery Drive Curator utility is, and so on will take care of that. So you should have one of those, and you can do it either from that computer or from a different computer. It doesn't matter as long as it's the same, if it's Windows 11 or if it's Windows 10.
I
And you should,
noticed the biggest thing I noticed is now they want 32 gigs. Used to be well, originally when Windows 10 first came out, it was about 8 gigs.
yeah.
Now they want 16. At least they did on my old Windows 10 computer, and now they're saying 32 gigs. So a lot more is going on to it.
Yeah, and you can buy those drives. I bought a bunch of 32 and 64s, I think, at about $5 a piece. I bought, I'll buy 5 of them and then just have them if I need them to exchange information with people in my neighborhood and so on, where I don't have to be searching for some kind of thing to be able to transfer or teach them how to be able to transfer something. Here's a drive with all the files on it you need, and that's it.
Right. And what's important is that when you say that you want to include all the system files, it creates a recovery drive that has all of the drivers loaded that you're running on your PC at the moment. So it's specific to your hardware rather than being a generic download from Microsoft. I discovered that problem when I had a Microsoft Surface. The drivers for the Microsoft Surface camera are not included in the general download. You actually have to go to Microsoft and download a Microsoft Surface specific ISO file. But if you have an HP or a Dell, each of these different manufacturers have recovery disks that you can make using all of the original drivers that they ship on the PC.
Yeah, but this isn't actually the full operating system. It's enough to boot you up. So you can do it from any machine and it gets you up and where you can get into the drive and turn off that thing that you turned on that stopped it from working or something like that. Okay, any other comments? Uh, we got a couple of minutes. Maybe we can get one more in here. Sure. And Google's adding more AI overviews and a new AI mode in search. We talked about briefly earlier. And adjusting the camera settings on a PC, I can't while because I'm using the camera for Zoom. But I just got a new camera and I wanted to go in and adjust some of the settings. And here's why I don't trust my ISP's Wi-Fi router. You might want to read through that. And then Alphabet's Terra chip uses light beams to provide high-speed internet. So you're going to start seeing a lot of different chips that are going to become available for computers. It won't be something you'll buy and then insert in your computer. It'll come on it, but they're starting to find ways to speed things up, make them cheaper, and give you more power. And this is one Alphabet, which is uh, Facebook and Instagram. They've announced a new development for Tara's technology that could lead to low cost. Let's go ahead and do this here. So Tara's general manager, Krishnaswamy, has introduced the Tara chip, a silicone photonic chip that uses light to transmit high-speed data through the air. The Tara chip is about the size of a fingernail, but far smaller than the technology the Alphabet division has been using. Tara Lightbridge, which was its first generation technology, is the size of a traffic light and uses a system of mirrors and sensors to physically steer light to where it needs to go. The new chip is often uses software instead. Let's see what else here. It's a little bit more detailed than some of us really need to know about, but just the fact that technology continues to advance in other ways than just AI. The hardware too is improving as we move along. And with that, we're pretty much covered everything. Have any final comments to
Yes,
anyone? Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Alphabet is not Meta and Instagram and Facebook. Alphabet is Google.
That's right. You're totally correct, and
Okay,
I am
sorry.
wrong. Yes.
Well,
no.
you have an excuse. I also have been sick this week, and the brain does not function.
I don't remember my alphabet at all. See?
Exactly. Terrific session today, guys.
We try to cover a lot, and
Ooh.
sometimes it's above what you want to know or need to know, but you'll find that somewhere along the way, somebody's going to mention something. Oh, I remember when they were talking about that.
Huey,
And,
did you use that camera settings feature to change the appearance of your face? Because as I recall in previous shows, your face had a reddish tint to it, but you seem to have cleared that up.
Well, yeah, but we cheated. Ron gave me the idea. It could be the reflection from the brown box that I was in. You know, the what do you call it? The 4-panel curtain that I use, and so what he said, why don't you get a black background? So I ordered a black uh, curtain, a blackout curtain for $10 from Walmart, and hang it over that. So it's a black background instead of that brownish reddish. So it's not. And he said also the color of your shirt makes a difference. So I've been wearing different colored shirts to try different ones to see. And it has, yeah, it definitely has made it a lot better than it was. It's not as red as it was. But no, the software did not have something that I could change. I didn't know the combinations of things to make that reddish tinge go away. I am going to write a note to CenterCam and see what they have to say about it. But I am much happier with it the way it is. Any other comments or questions?
John Buckingham.
Oh yeah, John, thank you for joining us, and your hand is up.
You bet. Hi, everybody. Huey, I was just wondering, I belong to some other groups that I do Zoom meetings on. And every now and then, I don't turn my computer off. It goes into sleep at night. And usually the meeting's first thing in the morning, and then I click it on and I go in, and my voice sounds like a cartoon character's voice. And I have to go into my settings and fool around with them to get that to change back. It's a brand new computer. And I'm just wondering maybe if it might be a driver that might be corrupted or something. Has anybody else had that problem? And if
Zoom has always had a problem with if you change cameras or change microphones. At one time, that all kinds of crazy things would happen, and I think it's a result of that. I think it's stopping and then resuming with Zoom,
Yep.
and the best thing to do would be to change your microphone and then come back to it in the Zoom software and see if that helps. If not, you'll have to get out of Zoom and then come back in.
okay,
Would it help if you, I'm sorry, John, would it help if you, when you open Zoom, go into your settings and go to audio and video and make sure the settings are correct? I do 2 different types of Zooms. One, I use the musician because we play live. A group of us play live together on the, but we can't play. Well, there's a bit of a lag. Anyway, the other type is just the standard with some sound dampening. But I always go in. I always make sure I'm up to date. That's one. And I very often will shut down and restart Zoom between meetings if they're right next to each other. I had a meeting before this that I turned off and came back on. So that might help.
I see. Well, nothing changes. I mean, I'm using the same.
No, I understand that.
Yeah, okay. Same video, same camera, same microphone.
Yes, but if you go in and click something, then, or then click it back.
Got it.
But I do that before the meeting, and that way, so maybe that'll help.
Thank you.
And also just a complete reboot of the computer, even though you were in standby and came back.
Good
Just
idea. Thank
closing
you.
everything, rebooting, and then going in and seeing if you still have a microphone problem with the sound.
Okay, so you don't think it might be a driver problem?
No.
Okay,
I
Good.
can recall at one time or another, several of other clubs presenters who have been in our conferences, maybe with the settings they had the last time they did their own meeting, sounded like Donald Duck when they were talking.
Right. Okay.
Yeah,
just-
Zoom does not handle changes in audio and video sometimes very well, and that's what it sounds like. And so either getting out of Zoom and then coming back into it, or is usually the best, and it will work the quickest.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Okay, with that, I'm going to say thank you for joining the CFCS and STUG Windows Special Interest Group, or WinSIG, for March 9th of 2025. I'm Huey Poplock. Thanks everyone for joining.